Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Rockabye Revenue. I'm here today to talk about something that I have experienced myself, and I am sure you do from time to time. Comparison. Comparing yourself to other people in the industry, perhaps comparing your business against somebody else's, and how that can utterly stop you in your tracks, like limit your business's potential and impact your mindset so negatively. So today we're going to talk about 3 simple ways of stopping comparison in its tracks. Okay, so this is for you whether you are very established in your business or whether you're actually starting out, because I know at some point in your business journey you will be affected by comparison, and I don't want that to happen for you. I don't want you to have those feelings that make you feel frankly quite crap about yourself and your business, and then start blooming hiding, start hiding, stop promoting your business. And who suffers? Well, the people that suffer are those parents, those expectant parents that need to hear about your services. So let's crack on. Now, comparison affects many people, particularly women. And yes, we're talking about this from a business perspective, but my goodness, it can affect us in all walks of life. So we can find ourselves comparing ourselves to other parents, to what someone looks like on the school run, to how gorgeous somebody's wedding is compared to your own. We can compare ourselves to people, in all sorts of situations, okay? But in terms of your business, this is what it might look like. It might look like seeing somebody else on social media and seeing the success that they have and thinking, wow, that's incredible. And then find yourself spiraling into negative feelings about your own business. So you might even almost torment yourself for it a little bit and think, oh my gosh, I'm all about empowering women. I'm all about championing other women. And yet I'm feeling rubbish about that woman over there having success. That is not me, and I shouldn't feel that way. Now, I'm saying that because I hear you, we shouldn't feel that way, but we do. It's really human to when we, start seeing wonderful things other people are doing, to start thinking, oh, am I doing that? Am I doing enough? What have they got that I haven't got? And spiral into this negative thing about yourself, okay? Now, I want to tell you a time that I can so vividly remember experiencing this myself. Now, I'll put my hands up and say I have experienced comparison many times in my business journey. Absolutely. I definitely think for me, it's added to feelings of imposter syndrome. It's definitely led to times where I've been more in hiding, not being as visible about my services. It's never had, a really positive result. Now, these days, I compare myself less because I do these things that I'm going to share with you later to stop it in its tracks before it develops. And that's what I want you to hear today. That's what I want you to take away from this episode today. How you can feel those feelings, but stop them in their tracks so it doesn't spiral. Anyhow, let me take you back to this time that really stands out in my memory so clearly. I can remember where I was, I can remember the day of the week it was, and I can remember the impact it had on me personally, in my personal life, and in my business. Now, it was not long after I'd had my fourth baby. So I'd had Betsy. Betsy is now 5. So we're talking about 5 years ago. I'd not long returned to my business after taking some time away for maternity leave. And I'd been running my business a good 4 years, a good 4 coming on 5 years. So I was very established, and I'd returned to my business, and I was back running my hypnobirthing group courses and doing one-to-ones as well. And I remember sat outside baby sensory. So I used to take Betsy to baby sensory. I took all 4 of my kids to baby sensory. And my goodness, I loved baby sensory. The memories we made on that course were just so special. And I remember being sat in the car park outside baby sensory, and Betsy was asleep, and I had about 10 minutes. So I thought, right, I'll just sit for a little bit, let her have a bit of a sleep, so she's in a better mood when we walk in. And what did I do? Well, I went for a scroll on my phone, and there I saw another hypnobirthing business had popped up in my area. I can remember so vividly what the branding looked like, the person, and literally I went from feeling like, oh, we're going to have a good day, to absolutely feeling in a panic. I looked at her branding and thought, oh my gosh, it looks so pretty. She's obviously invested a lot in this. Oh my gosh, she really seems to know her stuff. Another person in my area. Oh my gosh, what is it going to mean for my bookings? Is this going to mean I'm struggle, to fill my groups? I've been doing so well. Is this going to impact? Oh gosh, I've not long returned back from maternity leave. I haven't got as much time as I had before. Am I going to be able to compete? And I'd gone into this huge cycle of doom. I felt like in that moment, everything I had built up was potentially under threat. Now, I know 5 years down the line how ridiculous that sounds. But when we sat there, minding our own business, going about our day, and we are hit by something that feels scary in our business, we are not rational, And can you see how this one thought about oh, there's somebody else starting up in my area. Oh, her branding looks great. Then had this whole spiral about what I felt about my own business. Okay. So what did that mean? Well, it meant that when we did walk into baby sensory, I was otherwise engaged, There was a lot going on in my head of utter panic, I'd gone into ultimately fight or flight. And I remember the days after that really feeling in a in a bit of a panic about my business, feeling quite frozen, feeling like, oh my gosh, what is the point now? Where do I even start? Like, oh, she's shiny and fresh and so like knowledgeable and all this. And can you see what I was doing there? I wasn't in comparison, you know? When we compare, we are finding similarities and differences. I wasn't in comparison. I was basically just in a mode of slating myself, you know? Finding all the things that I perceived as good about her business and using them as a stick to beat myself with. You know, that is not comparison, is it? And, you know, I've talked about this podcast being about comparison. I'd probably go as far as saying, like, this feeling that many of us have from time to time in our business isn't really comparison, because like I said, comparison is thinking about similarities and differences. And we're not thinking about similarities when we do this. We're not fairly looking at our own business. We're not looking at the strengths of our business. And if it was a true comparison, we'd be doing that too. Okay, so if you've ever felt feelings like that, please know you are not alone. You are not alone, and you are not a bad person for almost like looking negatively at somebody else's successes. Okay, and you know, it's quite common for it to then impact your own view of what you do. Okay, but we don't want that. Now, to cut a long story short, in terms of this other business, did it impact my business? No. Did my bookings suddenly go down the U-bend? No. Because, you know what? There's more than enough to go around, you know? But I understand these feelings, and if they don't practically impact our business in terms of bookings, they absolutely have the ability to impact our business in terms of our mindset about our business. It's really common for it to impact our self-esteem, to get a skewed view of our businesses, and potentially can make us get smaller, you know? Hide away, not share how great our stuff is, because we feel a bit like, oh, but they're even better, you know? I feel silly saying this because actually they are so great compared to me. They've got things that I haven't got. Okay. Well, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that, of course, you have got things that they haven't got. You know, and if we were doing a fair comparison, we'd also be looking at that. Okay. Now, I am not someone that says, or I certainly don't say this anymore, I don't say never look at the competition. Never look at other people in the industry, because actually I think that's a missed opportunity if we never look at the competition. But it's doing it in a way that is useful to your business. And looking at other people's businesses, you know, sat in your car when you're about to go in and have a great day, you know, when you're about to go into baby sensory, when you're about to go into the preschool pickup, you know, is not the time to do it. When you're scrolling your phone at 2 a.m. when the baby's woke you up yet another time, that is not the time, you know? Doing it with intention is. And I'm sure very soon I will do a podcast episode all about how we can look at the competition in a way that's going to help your business. So how we can look at the competition strategically. But that's not what we're talking about today. What we are talking about today is the mindset side of this. How can we stop that spiraling, that feeling of comparison with other people impacting the action that you take in your business. Okay, so here we go then. Number one thing to do, and I really, really want you to take action upon this today, not tomorrow, today. I want you to unfollow or mute accounts that do make you have those feelings. And this very week, I would like you to I would like you to mute or unfollow at least five accounts that when they come up, you go into comparison mode. So that might be the local business that also offers the same thing as you. Or it might not be the local business. It might be somebody that you trained with that you love dearly. You love her dearly, but actually when you see her do things, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so different from me. Am I doing it wrong? If it makes you have that feeling, that is not what you want popping up when you are least expecting it. So do yourself a blooming favour and unfollow or mute. Now, this is not because you're a mean person or you're unsupportive of your business. You are protecting your energy. You know, that doesn't mean you are forbidden from ever commenting on their stuff and cheering them on. It means you are preventing it popping up when you least expect it and when you are least mentally prepared for it. So in my own business, I now train hypnobirthing teachers. So I train people from scratch to be hypnobirthing teachers, or I enhance the training of already trained hypnobirthing teachers. I do not follow any other hypnobirthing training providers. That's not because I don't want them to succeed. That's not because I feel like, oh my gosh, I hate them. I don't, I think they're great. But I don't want it popping up for me when I'm about to cook the tea, when I'm about to pick my eldest up from school and I need to be so on form. I don't want things to be sneaking up and making me potentially feel less than I am, okay? So that is my number one tip for you, okay? Unfollow, okay, or mute. Now, the reason I say mute is I know many of us feel very uncomfortable about unfollowing because we feel like, oh my gosh, the person might notice and they may take offense. Well, they probably won't notice and they probably won't take offense because this is business. This is not personal. However, if that feels too big for you, mute rather than unfollow. Okay. Tip number 2, have some kind of reminder of just how many potential clients there actually are. This will prevent you spiraling into scarcity, into that feeling of, oh my gosh, there's so many other people doing what I'm doing. There's not enough for us. They're so great. Everybody's going to flock to them. If you have a reminder of just how many potential clients there are, you will remember that, okay, that's fine, because there's actually loads and loads of potential clients that are currently not accessing these services that we both offer. And actually, my goodness, this is not competition. This is someone who also is so aligned with my feeling of, expectant parents need positive birth prep, or parents need help with sleep advice, or parents need loving communities where they, learn baby massage, or whatever it is. When you understand that there's so many potential clients, actually you stay in this headspace of this person isn't actually a competitor. This person is part of my community really, really helping more and more expectant parents or more and more parents. So what could your reminder be? Well, your reminder might be something that relates to the types of clients that you work with. So if you work with pregnant women, you might want to have a really simple reminder of just how many babies are born every month in your area. You know, maybe you serve a national, area. You work online. Maybe your services are national or even international. What is your reminder of just how many babies are born every single month? And you write that on a post-it note and you put it up in your home so that you are forever having that reminder that there are more than enough to go around. If you work with, say, mums of babies 0 to 6 months, well, again, really think about just how many people will be in that category. Okay. How could you get that reminder? Well, you could look at how many babies are born each year in your area. And if you are potentially only working with them for that 6 months, you're dividing it by 2. Again, you're writing it on a post-it note and you are having that constant and consistent reminder that there is more than enough to go around. Also, please remember on this note that many of us, as much as we may see online many people doing similar things to us, many of us do work in niches that are still very underserved, I train hypnobirthing teachers, so I see a lot of new hypnobirthing teachers pop up. And I know that even though there are a lot popping up, it is still an I can't say this term. Underserved niche. I know that. How do I know that? Well, I meet parents all the time that have no clue what I'm talking about when I say hypnobirthing. How many of us, me, expectant parents, absolutely bricking it when it comes to giving birth and not knowing that there are services like hypnobirthing out there to help them, Maybe you're a sleep coach and maybe, you need that reminder that, my goodness, there's so many parents that need sleep advice and don't even realize it's a thing, So many of us are working in underserved niches. So having that reminder so that when you do see competition or you do see other people popping up, you're like, okay, that's fine, because there is more than enough to go around. Then finally, tip number 3, you feel the comparison and you use those feelings to propel you. Okay. So you feel the comparison and you feel those feelings of, oh, they're like this. Oh, they're great at that. And you hear yourself saying they're great at this. This is wonderful that they're offering. And you use that as your nudge to shine extra bright, to really showcase exactly how wonderful you and your services are. This is blooming useful, because when you've been doing what you do for a little while, it's really, really common to get complacent, to just do the same things that you've always done, to, stay very similar in your marketing. And sometimes we do need that nudge to shine extra bright, to do that thing that you've been thinking of doing, and to ultimately serve your clients even more. How can you serve your clients, your customers even better? And using these feelings of comparison to be productive, to take more action, to really shine, because your clients deserve that. And there's more and more people that your service could be reaching right now. And actually, that feeling of comparison might just be that nudge that you need to boost what you are doing, to really reach more people. And when you do reach those people, to really look after them so well that it's your business everyone's talking about. So those are my 3 ways that you can stop comparison in its tracks. So firstly, really think about curating that social media news feed, or whatever we call it, that social media scroll. So unfollowing accounts that trigger that feeling in you. Okay. Number 2, have that reminder of just how many potential clients are out there. So comparison, well, it's not going to make you shrink, because you know there's more than enough to go around. And number 3, if you do feel those feelings of comparison, use it to propel you, use it to boost you and make you shine even brighter. Now, as always, I'd love to know if you have found this podcast useful and what you will be doing on the back of it. And do remember to hit 5 stars if you haven't already. Next week, I will be talking about something very seasonal, and I'm going to be talking about something that I would highly recommend you do in preparation for Twixmas. You know, that time between Christmas and New Year that absolutely could boost your bookings going into 2025. So definitely make sure you're listening next week, okay? Because some small actions that you do next week will mean that you have got everything you need to be getting bookings whilst you're eating the stale mince pies and the dregs of the selection boxes. So yeah, do join me then. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I shall see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.